What's up guys, it's Eric from Rare Candy and welcome back to another recorded tournament series, and this time we are taking a look at the top cut rounds of a recent League Cup that we got to go attend. This is going to be in Wilmington, North Carolina at Cape Fear Games, and here on the left we have Carl Satabi playing Gourgeist, otherwise known as Pumpkin Spice as people are calling this deck, and we have Steven Hunter on the right playing Gardevoir. So yeah, I saw Carl made it all the way to top cut. He finished 402 in the Swiss rounds, and I knew I had to feature this deck here on the channel. Really excited and glad that we got to feature this match. So, you know, as far as I know, Steven's deck is kind of your standard Gardevoir deck with max potions. He does play the Mr. Mime tech though. Not sure how relevant that'll be in this matchup, but overall, probably your standard Gardevoir type of list. But there on the left, Carl's deck has a lot more going on. He has, as you can see, he has a Pumpkaboo. He has, I think, two Pumpkaboos. Oh no, he has a Marshadow in the active spot, but he's going to retreat into Tauros here, Tauros GX. And just for a DCE, Tauros can do 60 damage, which is actually pretty good. Can knock out these low HP evolving basics in one shot. But basically, the goal of this Gourgeist deck is with Gourgeist, you discard all of your tool cards and do lots of damage. We did feature a deck like this on the channel a while back when we were first testing out Crimson Invasion. But Carl's deck is going to be a little bit different than that, though, if you did see that. So here he's getting Gourgeist. He has the Octillery online, so he plays all these different ways to draw him additional cards to always get the tools that he needs to do damage. So let's see what he's going to get off this Ultra Ball. Maybe grab himself a Klefki or another Pumpkaboo could be good. So he only has the one Pumpkaboo in play right now, so... or the one Gourgeist, so he might want to get another one. And there he goes, he's going to get that. And he has a couple cards in hand, but he does have that Octillery in play, so he will be able to draw it until he has 5 cards in hand as well. So what else does he really need this turn? That's going to be the question. Steven didn't really have much going on his last turn, it looked like. So let's see if Carl can take advantage of that. But here he's going to get a fresh hand of 5 off of that Abyssal Hand, so he is in a good spot right now. So he has a Rescue Stretcher. He can get back some of those Pokemon, and here he's actually playing kind of an interesting card. He's playing Dashing Pouch. It's a new tool card from Crimson Invasion, and whenever your Pokemon discards energy to retreat, it goes back into your hand instead. So Gourgeist needs, you know, tool cards in play to discard, and Dashing Pouch can kind of preserve your double Carlos energies at times too. So I think that's the reason he is playing this one. And so he might even be able to just take a knockout on this, I think it's just a lone Mr. Mime. So he has the double Carlos, and that is going to be game. So Pumpkin Bomb, Gourgeist attack does 10 plus 40 more for every tool card on your field that you discard. So if you have 6 Pokemon in play, you're doing 250. So if you can manage to get 6 tool cards on your Pokemon, you can take a knockout on virtually everything in the format. Metagross will give you a little bit of a problem since it does have psychic resistance, but basically everything else you'll be able to basically just one-shot. So that was going to be, unfortunately, kind of a quick game 1, but this is a best 2 out of 3 series in Top Cut, so Steven does have 2 chances to come back, and here you can actually see Carl has his Starbucks Pumpkin Spice GX marker. That's pretty cool. I didn't even notice that at the tournament. So definitely not Steven's ideal game. And actually, I gotta say, I think Gardevoir has a better chance against this Gourgeist deck than a lot of other decks. So when I was actually testing Gourgeist, one thing I found difficult would be to actually get 6 tools in play. I was managing to hit for 210 a lot of the time and getting 5 tools in play, but a lot of times I felt like it was kind of difficult to get all 6 in play to take one-hit knockouts on Gardevoir. So I'm not sure how Carl's list looks exactly, but I know me personally, that was a problem I was having. So Gardevoir might have a better chance than some of the other decks in the format against this Pumpkin deck. And here, what does Steven have? I don't see the first turn Lele in his hand, but here's going to Guzma up a Remoraid, put a DCE on the Lele, and I guess just do 40 damage. So Steven definitely not having the best of games here. And just a pass from Carlos, so neither player really doing that well, but it looks like Steven does top deck a Bridget, so that is going to keep him in this game. Bridget, that ideal first turn supporter, so you get search your deck for 3 basic Pokemon or 1 basic Pokemon EX and put them on your bench. So he's going to grab himself a Ralts, Remoraid, and a Alolan Vulpix. And normally I think it's a little bit risky going for the single copy of Ralts, just because in case one gets knocked out, you want to have a way to still evolve another one. But luckily Carl is having kind of a slow start, so Steven's going to capitalize on that, favoring to get out maybe the Remoraid instead of the second copy of Ralts, and that will let him draw out of this hand. So I didn't get a good look at what's in Carl's hand, but sometimes with this Gourgeist deck, you play so many tool cards, sometimes you can just open some Pokemon and a handful of tools, so we'll see how it goes. So Steven's definitely starting to stabilize a little bit here. He's field blowing the Float Stone. Unfortunately, it only got rid of one tool, but hey, that's one more tool that Carl is going to need to be able to take a one-hit knockout. And here it looks like Steven's just going to Beacon again. I think that is fine. Maybe go for a second Ralts and maybe a Gardevoir. I think that could be good. Gallade is a half-decent attacker in this matchup as well, since you can one-shot Zoroark GX. But I think Guardy might just be the way to go. It only needs 2 energies to knock out a Gourgeist, and it takes 6 tool cards in play to be able to knock out. So I think that's fine if Steven goes the Guardy route. And so the one good thing Carl's going for him is that basically all his Pokemon are attackers, or they help draw him cards. So any turn now, if he can just hit an Ultra Ball or an attacker, he'll be okay. He does have, looks like his hand is a Field Blower, 2 Dashing Pouch, and a Gourgeist, so this is pretty rough for him. Let's see, it looks like Steven is opting to go the Gallade route here. So here he's going to get down the Choice Band on the Ralts, and he's going to play that Tapu Lele GX, going for a Sycamore. The only downside, though, is that Steven's not putting on a whole lot of pressure of his own yet. Oh, I did not see the active Pokemon is actually a Tauros GX, so maybe going the Gallade route is actually a little bit better in this particular situation. So Tauros is weak to Gallade, so that means Steven's going to have a couple of opportunities to get some easy prizes throughout the course of this game. This Tauros is going to be on the field at some point. Also Zoroark GX, I'm sure, will hit the field at some point as well. So gotta say, Steven is looking to be in a pretty dominant position so far. Let's see what he's going to get here. Looks like he's, I think, doing Premonition. It's that ability on Gallade. Let you look at the top 5 cards of your deck, rearrange them in any order. But luckily, Carr finally top decks a supporter. And so let's see what he's going to opt to do. He's going to get down a Dashing Pouch and just end. So he did have a second Dashing Pouch in his hand, but he opted not to play it. So maybe he's thinking, well, I need a lot to really make a knockout happen. Well, actually, not really a lot, but like I still need a Float Stone, for example. And if I get that in play, 2 tools is actually enough to knock out this Alolan Vulpix. Also, just a double Colorless Energy in general will knock out this Vulpix with Tauros. Though I'm not sure if he wants to keep Tauros active just because Gallade can take a knockout on it. So he does draw the Float Stone and the double Colorless Energy, so he definitely has some options here. He's going to Ultra Ball. Maybe go for a Tapu Lele could actually be, well, no, he'd still be 20 damage short if he went the Lele route. But here it looks like he's going to go for an Octillery, so Carl is definitely starting to stabilize here. You know, even if he has no supporters, he will be able to keep drawing cards with that Octillery. So let's see what route he's going to go. Looks like he is opting for the Tauros. And I guess just to do 60 damage. So he does get a prize, but at the same time, I'm not sure how much I like the play, just because Gallade can just easily knock out this Tauros. But it looks like Steven's favoring the... Looks like he's thinking about the Lele, but I think Gallade is probably the right play here. Assuming he has a supporter or a Choice Band, he will be able to knock out this Tauros. So he has a pretty clunky hand. Does he have... Well, does he have a way to actually draw with this Abyssal hand? That's what I'm thinking here. I think I saw an Ultra Ball in hand, but if he plays Ultra Ball, he's going to have to shuffle his deck. So maybe he has a couple cards in there he can play down to use that ability to draw. So let's see. I saw some rare candies. I think I saw a Max Potion. Oh, it was either an N or a Super Odd I saw in there. Maybe he doesn't have Ultra Ball. Maybe I thought I saw it earlier. But let's see what he's going to opt to do. But here's going to go for the Guzma. I think that's okay. And here it looks like he is going to do a Sensitive Blade, but maybe I would actually consider going for the Gourgeist here, just because that's the only thing that can knock you out. Like, even if even if Carl attacks with Tauros, it's only going to do 60 damage to you. If they attack with Zoroark GX, even with a full bench, they're only going to do 120. So I'm thinking taking out the Gourgeist would have been the better route here. Maybe in the late game, not having Octillery will hurt Carl a little bit, but I think Gourgeist may have been a little bit of a better target here. But the one thing I will say, Steven's probably not used to playing against Gourgeist. It's definitely not a deck that most players have been playing. It's definitely only been kind of getting a little bit of hype recently. Like I mentioned earlier, we did feature it on the channel as well, but only recently. I think of some other top players have been discussing it. So it's definitely not the type of deck that you're kind of used to playing against, and you kind of know your ideal strategy all the time. So let's see what Carl is going to do here. Looks like he's going for a Tapu Lele GX. Maybe going for a Sycamore. That seems good. I like that. I definitely don't think he wants to end Steven. I don't think Steven played a supporter. Well, he played the Guzma, but beyond that, he didn't do too much. So I think it's fine just going for the Sycamore here. And here he's going to get down a Float Stone, just in case he doesn't hit that double Colorless Energy. He is going to be able to get that Gourgeist out of the active spot. And here he is going to Professor Sycamore. Okay, and the last card is actually a double Colorless Energy. So that's definitely good news for him. Here he's going to get down that double Colorless Energy. And I believe it's going to take 3 tools to take a knockout here. Or no, just 2. Because if he discards 2, that'll be 90 damage. Times 2 for the weakness on this Gallade. So it looks like they're discussing something here. I'm not sure what's going on exactly. Okay, I guess Carl was just thinking about what tools he wants to get rid of. That's fine. So, alright, so it looks like Steven's going to go for an Ultra Ball here, probably getting himself a Gardevoir. That seems definitely really good. If he can hit another Field Blower this turn, that would actually be really nice as well. He already played the 1, but typically these Gardevoir decks play 2, so if he can hit a second Field Blower, I think he's going to be in a good spot too. Just because right now, Carl already he essentially has 3 tools in play. He has the Dashing Pouch, the Float Stone, and then he also has the Klefki on his bench as well. So you want to kind of limit the chances of, Carl being able to hit what he needs to take a big knockout. So let's see what he gets here. And he does get the Field Blower, so that's actually really, really big. I'd be surprised if Carl could make the 6 tools happen. So here he's going to attach double Colorless Energy and use Gardevoir GX's awesome Secret Spring ability to attach a Fairy Energy from hand as well to Gardevoir. And I'm sure most of you probably know what Gardevoir does by now, but it has that Infinite Force attack. It does 30 damage times the amount of energy on both active Pokemon. So Gourgeist only has 120 hit points, whereas Gardevoir's attack, like I said, 30 for each energy on both active Pokemon. The 2 double Colorless Energies in play and the Fairy Energy means it's doing 150. So here it looks like Carl's going to promote the Tauros GX. Does have a double Colorless Energy on it, but unfortunately, Tauros is not a very good attacker against Gardevoir. He really needs to be able to take a knockout here with Gourgeist. It's, the Field Blower was actually really big, but if he can manage to pull it off, that is going to be pretty big here. So looks like he's going to opt to play the Rescue Stretcher, just getting the Pumpkaboo back into his hand, and he is going to Sycamore. So let's see what he's going to get here. He has some options. So he has Zoroark GX. So no doubt he's probably using that Zoroark GX for its ability trade, discard a card from his hand to draw 2 cards. And I don't see any more tools, so I'm actually not sure if Carl can take a knockout this turn. So he has 1 tool in play. He has a Dashing Pouch in hand. He has the Klefki. So what, he has like 3 tools, I think. And here it looks like they're discussing which Pumpkaboo actually came into play that turn. So one of them can't evolve. Doesn't matter too much in this particular instance, but would matter if Carl had another Gourgeist. But here it looks like he's just going to soften up this Gardevoir GX to do 60 damage. So that'll make it to where Carl only needs a couple of tools to take a knockout on this Gardevoir on the next turn. So one thing Steven needs to probably do this turn is get another Ralt into play. That's going to be big here. Because once this Gardevoir goes down, he's not going to really have much to work with. He has Lele's, which are okay attackers, but I'm sure he's going to prefer a Gardevoir. So he is going to get the Ralt in play. Definitely a good move on his part. So let's see what else he has to work with. So it looks like he's going to Secret Spring, I'm assuming, to that Ralts. And I think I saw Guzma in hand, but here he's going to use Abyssal Hand to draw a few cards first, just to give himself some more options, decide what he wants to do. So he's going to attach for turn, it looks like. So that makes me think maybe he is going to go for a Guzma play, but here it looks like he's just going to end. But I think that's okay. The Taurus gives up 2 prizes, so definitely, you know, it's going to make this a little bit easier to, you know, finish beating Carl to, you know, taking all 6 prize cards here. So one thing he can maybe do is if he can knock out Taurus here and maybe go for a Gallade and Guzma play to kind of lock up the game on that Zoroark GX, I think that is going to be a strategy he could go as well. But he's going to take the knockout, like I said. And he has... Looks like Carl does have a double Colorless Energy he can use. He does have a Klefki, so he will be able to get some tools and play that way. And so basically he has 3 tools to work with right now. He's going to need the Sycamore, and between that Sycamore and Zoroark GX, he might be able to hit what he needs. He could Rescue Stretcher, maybe a Gourgeist back into hand, or he could get a Mars Shadow. I think that's an option as well. So here he's going to use that Rescue Stretcher. It looks like he's going for the Pumpkaboo, and he's going to Sycamore into a fresh hand. And I think he may have actually... Yeah, I mean, he definitely is going to have a knockout this turn since he has the double Colorless Energy. And so Gardevoir has 170 hit points right now, so Carl needs to discard 4 tools and play. So that'll be 160 damage plus the 10 base damage will be enough to finish taking a knockout here. So let's see what he's going to have to do. He does have a special charge in hand. He could consider playing that as well, just because I think he's gone through a couple double Colorless Energies at this point. That special charge will allow him to get 2 special energies from his discard pile back into his deck. But here it looks like he's going to Wonderlock that Klefki. Going to bench another Klefki. And using Wonderlock again. And so looks like he's going to bench the Remoraid. So trying to set up that Octillery again, you know, just to make himself a little bit more end-proof in the late game. So here's going to discard those 4 tool cards, taking a knockout on Gardevoir GX, going down to 2 prizes. So he's just 1 Guzma away from winning this game. He just needs a Guzma and 4 tool cards. And, you know, I think he actually could potentially make this happen. So here he's going to evolve. Ooh, the Parallel City, that is pretty big. So that's going to discard, well, depending on which way you face it, affects, you know, kind of what happens in the game, but whoever has the blue side facing them, they can only have 3 bench Pokemon, which is actually pretty important for Carl's deck. He needs all 6 bench spots open, that way he can, you know, have enough Pokemon in play to actually attach tools to take knockouts, because right now he's kind of capped at 170 damage, which is, it's fine, just because that's how much he needs to knock out a Lele, but, you know, it's going to prevent him from benching things like Lele. And he actually does draw a Field Blower, so that's really important here. So let's see what Steven does. Looks like he's just going to have to pass. So this is definitely a window of opportunity for Carl. He's going to discard the Perilous City, put the Dashing Pouch down in N. So unfortunately, that's not the supporter I'm sure that he wants here. But nevertheless, I'm sure... you know, it's better than nothing. So it's going to put both of them down to a 2-card hand. Steven does have that Octillery in play still, so he will be able to draw out of it unless Carl decides to take a knockout on it. So if he gets another Pokemon in play, he can actually use Zoroark GX to take a knockout. I think that's an option. So here, maybe Carl's going through Steven's discard pile, see how many Gallades he has in there, maybe how many supporters he's played. That could influence what he decides to do. So that's a little bit rough. He can use trade this turn, so he could discard a float stone if he chooses to with trade, but it looks like he is... Hmm. If I'm Carl in this situation, I feel like taking out the Octillery is just... it's kind of an important play here. It looks like he is going to... Wait. So... I'm curious. The Octillery has 90 hit points. And Carl only has 4 Pokemon in play. I mean, unless I missed something, I don't think that Octillery had any damage counters on it. So I actually don't think Carl could have taken a knockout here. Hmm. That's actually kind of big, I think. Again, unless I missed something, I don't think the Octillery had any damage counters already on it. He needed one more Pokemon in play, because Zoroark does 20 times the amount of Pokemon it has in play. There's only 4 Pokemon total, so it's only doing 80 damage. So, well, that's definitely big here, but let's see what Steven's going to do. It might wind up not mattering, but actually I feel like it does, because either way Octillery wouldn't have been in the active spot. And if had Octillery still been in the active spot, that could have completely changed how this turn could go. So let's see what's going to happen here. It looks like Steven is going to play that Ultra Ball, probably going for a Gallade if he has it. Okay, it looks like he's going for the Tapu Lele and grabbing a Sycamore. That might be an even better play in this situation. And here it looks like they're discussing something. Maybe they're actually talking about the Octillery. So, oh, okay. Not sure what happened there, but anyways, so Steven is going to actually take that game, it looks like. I think he did reveal he had a Gallade in his deck. Was it? I'm not sure. Either way, it looks like Steven is going to take that game, and they're going to shuffle up and go on to Game 3. So Game 2, definitely a little bit awkward there. Carl definitely did not have a strong start at all, and I think Steven just got a little too far ahead. But even still, draw passing for like 4 turns, Carl still made a comeback and almost pulled out a win. So this Gourgeist deck definitely isn't something to be laughed at. It's not just a meme. It actually is a half-decent deck, it appears. So, it's going toe-to-toe with debatably the best deck in format, so it can't be that bad. So let's see. Hopefully this game is a little bit more even, and hopefully it's not as much draw passing. Hopefully it's a little bit more entertaining. Because no one likes to watch games like that. No one likes to play games like that. I always hate it when you just open dead sometimes. There's not much you can do about it. But, like I said earlier in the video too, all of Carl's Pokemon, they either do damage or they help draw you cards. So the deck really doesn't seem that inconsistent. I believe he plays a 2-2 Zoroark GX line, from what I could tell while watching his games at this tournament. He plays the 1-1 Octillery. I believe it's just a 1-1. I don't think it's 2-2. He plays the Marshadow from Shining Legends as well. He plays Tapu Lele, so he has all sorts of ways to draw him cards in this deck. So hopefully he doesn't open dead this time. And looks like he is... Okay, he's going to open with a Klefki. That's not what he wants to see, I'm sure. But he does have some draw supporters he can make use of. And no doubt Carl is going to want to go first. And here he draws another Klefki. So it's definitely not a Pokemon you really want to open with. So he's going to attach the Float Stone. That seems good. That way he can retreat the Klefki if he needs to. And here he is going to Professor Sycamore, discarding that hand and drawing a fresh hand of 7. Okay, he does get the Zorua in play. That is definitely good. Okay, he has an Ultra Ball, so he could potentially discard Bridget and looks like an Assault Vest. So I'm sure he hates to discard his tools if he's not actually taking knockouts, but nevertheless, I'm sure he wants to get some more Pokemon in play. So here he's actually going for the Remoraid. I think that's fine as well. You have to think this next turn, More than likely, Steven is just going to beacon at the end of his turn, so he's just going to have a 60 hit point Pokemon in play, which means if he gets a Zoroark GX in play, he will be able to take a knockout on it. So it looks like Steven's going to attach to this Ralts, and he's actually just going to open with Bridget. That's definitely really good. He didn't even have to use the Tapu Lele for it. So I'm sure we'll probably see a Ralts, maybe a Remoraid, and maybe another Ralts. Yep, so I like that. It definitely seems like a good play on Steven's part. If he has a Parallel City or a Field Blower, that could also be really good here as well. Otherwise, he's just going to use Beacon, search his deck for 2 Pokemon, and put them into his hand. So we'll probably see a Curlia, maybe a Tapu Lele if he doesn't have another draw supporter, or an Octillery. Okay, so going for the Curlia and the Lele, that seems good to me. I think I actually saw an Octillery in his hand, so Steven definitely having kind of the ideal start with this Gardevoir GX deck here. You know, Carl's start is a little bit awkward, but nevertheless, he is, you know, definitely in a much better spot than he was last game. So he's going to attach DCE to the active, attach Floatstone, attach the Choice Band, and Sycamore. Okay, so it looks like he does hit a Nest Ball, so that is good. He can grab himself maybe a Pumpkaboo here. That could be good to start setting up a Gourgeist, but I'm not sure if I saw a way to actually draw any additional cards. I don't think I saw Zoroark GX. I don't think I saw a Octillery, so we'll have to take another look at Carl's hand to see if there is anything usable there. But he's dug through, you know, a good portion of his deck so far. He's like Sycamore, but 2 or 3 turns back to back so far. So yeah, the rest of his hand is literally just tools and Pokemon recovery. So here he's going to retreat into Klefki and just pass. So that is a little unfortunate. You definitely don't want to miss any beats against this Gardevoir deck. But you never know, it could have been a good thing if Steven had a way to get like a rare candy Gallade and just knocked out Zoroark. That could have been bad as well. So here he's going to go for a Professor Sycamore. That'll allow him to discard his hand and get a fresh hand of 7 here. Let's see. I think I did see a double Carlos Energy in his hand. He could consider putting that down. He's going to put it on the Tapu Lele, actually. That's interesting. So maybe he's considering going for a Guzma. Okay, so that is what he's going to do. And he is going to take... He's going to draw a few more cards with Octillery. I think that's fine. And then just take a knockout. A little bit risky just because Carl already has 3 tool cards in play. If he can just get himself a Gourgeist, he can actually take a knockout here. And... so he has the double Carlos Energy. That's a good start. Has Rescue Stretcher. So he does have a Gourgeist in the discard pile, so he is going to be good to take out this Tapu Lele. Going to play Rescue Stretcher, getting that Zorua back onto the field again. Beyond that, he doesn't have too much to work with, but he will be able to take a 2-prize knockout here. And, okay, looks like he's going to put down all of his tool cards just to draw some more cards with Tapu Lele. Or I'm sorry, with Octillery here. And so he's going to bridge it, actually. So he's probably in a situation where it's like, you know, I have all my tool cards, I have my Gourgeist, I really just want another Pumpkaboo this turn for whenever this Gourgeist gets return knocked out. I could Sycamore, but I'd rather just go for the bridge it and get the guaranteed Pokemon, and also save my draw supporters too. So he's going to retreat for free with that Floatstone, and then he can use Pumpkin Bomb. So discarding 4 tool cards. And taking 2 prize cards. So let's see. So he has Gardevoir GX. Has a Secret Spring. So he just needs 1 more energy, and he will be able to take a return KO. See a Max Potion in hand. He might consider discarding that just because most of his Pokemon are probably just going to be one-shotted. So Steven's definitely deciding what he wants to do here. Maybe just go for another Curlia this turn. I think that'd be fine if he has one in deck still. And then maybe just N or Sycamore afterwards. Okay, so yep, he is eyeing down that other Curlia. That's fine. That way he's not as reliant on rare candy. If he does get a rare candy and another Pokemon, he can still, you know, make use of that. But at least this will make it easier to evolve his follow-up Gardevoir whenever that comes into play. And he actually hit a rare candy Gardevoir too, so definitely in a good spot. And he has a Field Blower, so that is Pretty good. Steven's definitely, his deck is working pretty much as he would kind of like it to this game, actually. And Carl's a pretty big hand, but it looks like Steven's just going to go for the Sycamore. Just kind of wants to make sure probably that he hits the energy that he needs. So here he does have the Fairy energy, so he will be able to do 120 to knock out this Gourgeist. So I'm not sure what else he wants to do. Okay, getting down another Secret Spring doesn't seem like a bad idea. But here you can just take a knockout. So both players are at 4 prizes. It's going to be a big turn for Carl. If he can manage to get all 6 tool cards and take a knockout, that's going to be big. So here he has a Dashing Pouch. He has several Klefkis. He's actually in a good spot. The only problem is he has plenty of Klefkis, but he needs additional bench Pokemon to attach them to. That's the only thing he really needs. But here he's going to Sycamore, discarding his hand to draw 7. And he has plenty of Pokemon here. He is in a great spot, it looks like. So I'm thinking he actually will be able to take a knockout on this Gardevoir. So here he is going to be able to discard, looks like a Tapu Lele and Tauros GX. That seem like good targets to get rid of. So maybe go in for another Pumpkaboo to start setting up if he doesn't have one in hand. So let's see what he's going to opt to get. Okay, it looks like he's actually going for a Zorua. Maybe he doesn't have another Pumpkaboo in deck. I'm not sure quite yet. And it's worth noting too, I don't think Carl has used his Abyssal Hand or his trade ability with Zoroark GX as well. So he has plenty of opportunities to draw Pokemon and tools. So I'm thinking this Gardevoir is going to go down. And if that's the case, I think Carl is actually in a pretty, maybe dominant position to win this game. That means he only has to knock out one more GX and he wins. But I don't know. These Gardevoirs do take a ton of tools to knock out. So maybe that will run him out of resources. It's hard to say. So he's going to bench the Zorua. So he's going to probably use that Wonderlock, put it on the Zorua. Okay, he has a Pumpkaboo. I mean, that seems good as well. So he's going to put the Klefki. Okay, and okay, he's going to use that Marshadow. And Marshadow, that's actually a card from Shining Legends. Hasn't been too popular, but a couple of people have been testing out here and there, I've seen. But it has that ability, whenever you bench it from your hand, both players shuffle their hands into their deck and draw 4. So between this, the Octillery, and the Zoroark GX, I think Carl should probably be able to find that last tool card he needs and probably take a knockout here. So let's see what players are both going to get off of this. See, that's not a tool, not a tool, and not tools. Okay. So the downside is Carl can't really play many of these cards down to thin his hand, but I think what he needs to do is use Abyssal Hand. Because if he uses Trade, you know, that'll discard a card, but he'll draw 2, and he won't be able to use Abyssal Hand after that. And he could play Rescue Stretcher, but if he plays the Rescue Stretcher, that will put his hand down 1 card lower, but that will force him to get 3 Pokemon back into his deck, actually decreasing the odds of him drawing a tool card. So it looks like he's eyeing that down, but honestly, I'm not a big fan of that if that is the play that he goes with. I think you go for the Abyssal Hand, and then you just trade. So here it looks like also Carl is checking how many tools he's actually gone through so far this game. So it looks like it is a good bit, and he does have quite a few in play, so I'm sure he probably only has a handful of tools left, but here he's going for the Rescue Stretcher. Again, I'm not a huge fan of this play. Like, it's not the worst. Like, I mean, definitely it looks like he is favoring going for the Abyssal Hand before trading, which is definitely, I think, the right thing to do. But again, you're putting 3 extra cards into your deck, which actually decreases the odds of getting what you need off the Abyssal Hand. So you never know, it could work out, but I think it's a little bit risky. But the one good thing for Carl is that he doesn't have a huge deck left at this point. So here he's going to Abyssal Hand for 2 cards. Okay, so he does not get a tool, but he has a trade left, and he does not get it, unfortunately. So maybe the Rescue Stretcher did come back to bite him. I'm not sure here. But it looks like Carl is just going to have to do what he can, do 210 damage to this Gardevoir GX. Now, the only downside to this, well, I guess one of the downsides to this is that, Steven plays Max Potion in his list. He can just retreat in Max Potion at some point potentially as well. So he's going to Ultra Ball, probably just thin his hand, that way he can use Abyssal Hand. So he's going for another Ralts, that's fine too. That'll thin out his deck a little bit. Maybe help him draw into a Max Potion. I'm sure that's what he's gunning for this turn. And so here's going to use that Premonition. Before he plays Professor Sycamore, he's going to draw into 4 extra cards. So basically, he's going to draw all these but one. He's basically just trying to think, what card do I not want to Sycamore away at this point? So here it looks like he's just content having it the way it is, and he can use Abyssal Hand. Okay, so he can play down a few of these. He can get down the Choice Band on the Gardevoir. I think that's fine. And then just a Sycamore. And one thing I may have considered, I think he's in a good spot. I would have maybe considered attaching to the Gallade, because if he can just knock out Gallade with, or knock out Zork GX with Gallade, that'll just kind of, I think, maybe even help wrap up the game. But it's okay. I mean, he can probably find another energy before he does that anyways if he chooses to. So, not a big deal, but just something I was thinking about. Here he can retreat. And does he have the Max Potion? I did not get a good look. But here he's just going to take a knockout on this Gourgeist. It's crazy. These Gourgeist, they take these big one-hit knockouts on Gardevoir, but whenever you knock them out, you just get one prize. That's one of the strengths to this Gourgeist deck. So unfortunately, I'm not sure how much I like Carl's position at this point. I think missing the knockout on that Gardevoir, which is so huge, because right now he has a Parallel City, kind of limiting his bench size, and that Gallade is just kind of staring him in the face. I don't think he even has enough tool cards left at this point to even take a one-hit knockout on Gardevoir. I'm not sure how many Guzmas he has. Ooh, okay, so he actually does have a couple options. He has a Field Blower, so he can do that too. It looks like he's actually going to trade it away to draw some more tool cards. So he has some options here. He can, well, he could go for a Tapu Lele Guzma play on this Gardevoir on the bench, but the only downside to that is this active Gardevoir, it just knocks him back out in one hit. Zoroark GX, similarly can take a knockout on this Gardevoir on the bench, but at the same time, if Steven has another energy, then, he's going to be in a bad spot. If I'm Carl, I think I would have maybe favored getting rid of something else in my hand, because you can actually discard the Choice Band and the Parallel City. The Choice Band's actually important because that'll prevent, something like, or it'll help prevent like a Lele getting knocked out in one hit if he wanted to go that route. But maybe he has a different strategy in mind already. So we'll have to see what route he's going to go here. Just taking a look at, I guess, what all he's used at this point. So, he's just in a difficult situation at this point. I think you just go for the Guzma on the Guardy, finish taking a knockout on it, and just hope and pray that Steven does not have an energy to take a knockout. So it looks like he's going to play that Tapu Lele, going for an N here. I'm not sure how much I like the play. Maybe he's just playing to thin his deck at this point. Maybe he was just curious what all he had left, and he figured he'd grab the N anyways. He does have a special charge in hand, so he will be able to at least get back some of those double colorless energies he's been discarding. So it looks like he's going to go for the special charge, attaching to the active. Okay, so maybe he's considering a Guzma play and then putting a Floatstone on one of his Pokemon. So here he's just going to end. So I don't think, because probably what's going to happen is Carl's going to have to deal with this Guardy at some point. I think he literally only had one Guzma left, so even if he Guzma'd this Guardy on the bench, he wouldn't have enough ways to finish picking off other like easy bench sitting targets. So he probably is going to have to win this game by taking out this Guardy and by Guzmaing the other Guardy at some point. I think that's his only option, unless he has a Guardy, or I'm sorry, a Guzma in the prize that he could dig out. But here it looks like he's just going to do 60 damage, and here that's pretty much game. I mean, I hate to say it at this point, but here he's going to use Premonition, look at the top 5 cards of his deck, and rearrange them. So, I mean, I really don't know what Steven really needs. If he gets a max potion, that would definitely add some insult to injury. But he can just, if he has a supporter, he could just retreat, play a supporter, and take a one-hit knockout with this Gallade. Or if he has enough energy to actually just attach to Guardy and take a one-hit knockout, that's fine as well, I think. The only thing then is he has to be mindful of maybe that Lele coming in with a double Carlos energy and Choice Band or something like that and return KOing the Guardy. Okay, so it looks like he is going to attach DCE to that Kirlia. And so he does have a supporter, looks like. I think I see a Sycamore. So he can actually, I think, just Sycamore and retreat into the Gallade. Well, actually, it depends. Steven has a pretty thin deck at this point. Okay, but he still has more cards left in his deck. That's going to be good. Here he's going to max potion. I think that honestly just seals up the game. I don't think Carl has enough ways to actually finish the game at this point. So here what he can do, he can actually just retreat that double colorless energy, or retreat with the double colorless energy that's on the Gardevoir GX, promote the Gallade, and then take a one-hit knockout. So that'll take care of this Zoroark GX. You know, Carl does have some more double colorless energies to work with. He does have another Zoroark, but nothing can really deal with this Gallade that easily. So he's going to go down to 1 prize. So no matter what, even if he knocks this thing out with like a Gourgeist, guess what? Guardy can just come in and still just take a one-hit knockout more than likely. You know, it only has the 1 energy on it right now, but it just needs a single energy and it could actually knock out this Gourgeist, assuming Carl does set one up. I think that's like the only play he really has at his disposal. Here he's going to get rid of the Field Blower with the trade. So does he even have enough tools to pull out a knockout? But here he's going to Guzma. And it looks like he's going to take a knockout here, and that is going to be the game. So Steven is going to win this top 8 match against Gourgeist, and that's going to be pretty much it. I'm not sure how many Guzmas Steven had left. I'm not sure how many double Carlos energies he had left, but another option Carl could have maybe done is try to Guzma the Octillery and stall, but I guess at the same time then Steven still has Twilight GX he could have used. So yeah, I think Carl was just in a bad spot, missing that Gardevoir knockout that one turn. You know, had that happened, who knows, maybe the game would have gone differently, but definitely a fun series to watch. I'm really excited that Carl agreed to let us feature him on the channel and show off an interesting deck like this. But yeah, guys, definitely stay tuned. We have the top 4 matches and the final matches coming up, so definitely stay tuned for those whenever they get uploaded. But as usual, feel free to like and subscribe, and a big shout out to all of our supporters over on patreon.com/rarecandytcg. If you guys can support us over there or pick something up from our online store at rarecandytcg.com, it would be greatly appreciated. But with that, I appreciate you watching, and we'll see you for the next one.